Hey, in search of Jacksonville. I'm your host, Dan Allen. Thanks for having me today. We are today in search of a IV person, actually mobile IV
We do
in
house
some
calls.
regards, but he does have a location here in Jacks Beach as well. I've got Chris Skeens here with you. Thanks, Chris, for having us
Of
today.
course.
So, tell us a little bit about you. I know you're a nurse, but how did you get into IVs?
Yeah, sure. So my wife is a nurse as well. We've both been nurses for a little over 5 years and worked in the ER at the Mayo Clinic. Did some travel nursing as well to Tampa, Miami, and Nashville, and did a lot of IVs around that time. And my wife worked at another IV clinic, and we thought to ourselves we could probably do something like that. So it's just humble beginnings. We got a little office here in Jacks Beach. But there's also a lot of IV clinics popping up all around. Most of them are franchises and just run by salespeople. And we're actually run by nurses, and also we come right to you. So here we are.
So what area do you cover as far as your mobile area? So I mean, obviously, you don't mind driving to Jacksonville Beach. Yeah, you certainly come here.
Yeah, I'd say
But mobile wise, how far do you travel for that?
we're still pretty new. There's no like strict end of the range of territory, but I'd say in general from St. Augustine all the way up to the Florida Georgia line.
Okay, perfect. Now, as far as IVs go, maybe we should talk about it because some people don't realize like you
Sure.
can actually go somewhere other than the hospital to get
Mhm.
IVs. What do people come for IVs for? Like, what was some of the main purposes?
Yeah, so we're trying to keep people out of the ER. There's a lot of people you just know when you're subjectively feeling down if you're dehydrated. I mean, there's a couple common use cases. A lot of people are familiar with like for hangovers. A lot of people have been doing that outside of the hospital, in a sort of, not the most official way for years. Firefighters or
Right.
med students, or
Oh,
if,
yeah.
if you know a nurse, you've probably heard a story about somebody giving an IV in some sort of unofficial capacity, but it's finally becoming an actual industry. And so the hangovers is the most common that people are familiar with. But honestly, the most common that I've done is more for like immunity, whether it's you're like trying to get over something like a nagging, lingering illness, or if you're starting to feel it come on, that's really the best time to do it. If you get that tickle in the back of your throat and you can give your body an extra little boost of all the vitamins and things it needs to fight it off naturally, it can really keep things at bay. And then also athletes will do it too, whether it's like before a big race or a competition. Those are some big ones as well too, like maybe runners or bikers, triathletes, power lifters, golfers love to do it as well because they kind of fit into two categories. I recently did a group of 8 golfers. They went out for drinking on Friday night. They knew they were going to be feeling awful, but they had tea time on Saturday they had to make, so we kind of made that happen for them.
Yeah, that's probably a whole different realm there.
Mm-hmm.
People going out and having a good time. We just, we just got through the holidays and New Year's. I'm sure a lot of people had, were at parties drinking and so forth. And then you mix that with cold and flu season.
Yep.
You're just completely depleted. So you guys actually do, besides just the IV, you actually do the vitamins and everything that go in with it. Maybe just cover a few of those things that people like to do as far as replenishing and all those vitamins.
Yeah, so some of the most common ones that people might be familiar with are vitamin C. You got vitamin D as well. You get in magnesium and zinc. A lot of people are familiar with B12. There's a couple other amino acids and vitamins and things we can put in there like zinc. And then I've also got a couple like medications that have been around since before I was born, so they're really safe. We know the risks are pretty low with them, and they're like very symptom based. So we've got one for nausea, we've got one for reflux, and then we've got an anti-inflammatory. It's going to be for like aches and pains, headaches, things like that.
Oh, awesome. And then as far as the cost of something like that goes, I mean, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so it starts at about $100. It depends if you're coming into our office in Jacks Beach. There's going to be nothing extra there. If we're doing a house call, then it might be like $50 or $100 depending on how far away you are. But then again, too, if you're doing a group, then we can waive that too. It makes it cheaper for you guys if we're making more money too. And ultimately, the time is what we're selling as well. It's a little more time for us, but you get your time back too, which is the benefit as well. You don't have to go sit and wait in the office or drive out here. We can just come right to you. You can be working, doing your stuff, or if you're really feeling deathly ill, you don't ever have to get out of bed. We just come revive you right there.
Right. And then I think we've got somebody coming in and he's going to get an IV, so we'll get a chance to see that here in a minute.
Yeah, our buddy Joseph, he's just been feeling a little down over the last couple of weeks and just kind of wanting a little boost to kind of help his body kind of kick off whatever he's been fighting, and I'm sure it'll work good.
Perfect.
Nice and tight.
Chris, if you don't mind, maybe giving us a little narration while you're doing his too.
Yeah, I'll kind of talk us through things. So, one second, get all supplies set up. Mr. Joseph here, he's feeling okay, but just had a lingering cough. Hope you don't mind me talking about these things, right? And it's pretty common this past flu season. A lot of people have just been sick for weeks on end, and sometimes your body just needs a little oil change, kind of filter things out. And getting an IV is a good way to do it. It's good veins here.
Didn't even flinch.
Easy peasy. If you know what you're doing, it really shouldn't hurt. It should be
Right.
just be like a little pinch. If they're digging around in there, that's not a good sign.
Right.
Watch open the drip chamber, watch it flow. You might taste it, you might feel a little bit chilly. If you feel any sort of discomfort, just let me know. Should be feeling good. Alrighty. Clean up a little bit, and then we'll add all the vitamins and medications and goodies and get you feeling right.
Now, what are you adding to the saline that you're putting?
Yeah, so we're adding some vitamin C. We're doing some B complex. We're going to do some glutathione. That's a really popular vitamin and amino acid combination that helps kind of detox the body of any heavy metals. It's also really good for hangovers as well. Just kind of detoxes a lot of things. And then we're going to do some magnesium, also good for a whole lot of things. Some zinc is really good for immunity, along with the vitamin C. And then we're going to add on some B12, which can really help with energy levels, especially when you've been down for weeks on end and just busy with the holidays. It can really help kind of give you a little jolt, but not so jittery. It's not like caffeine or any stimulants. It's more of a natural, just kind of makes your body to work the way it's supposed to.
Basically just replenishing all those vitamins and stuff that you need, especially this time of year to fight the flu and cold.
Yeah, and in America, our food system is not the best and as quite as nutritious as it used to be. So even if you're trying to eat healthy and you're taking the supplements and multivitamins, I think Joseph here takes a few different things. It can't hurt to have a little bit extra. If you have too much of any of these, there's water soluble and fat soluble vitamins. The only fat soluble one we have is vitamin D3, so that's the one you kind of have to worry about having too much of, right? Because it can live in your fat cells and stay for a really long time. Whereas all the other vitamins and things we offer, if you have too much of it, your body just pees out whatever it can't use.
Just flushes it out by itself. I gotcha. So you can actually put in maybe more than what you need and not have to worry about it because it'll just flush itself out, and then you've optimized it. Is that right?
Yep. And there's all different kind of thought processes and guidelines. With medications, it's a lot more strict. Like you need this milligram to have this effect, and this is kind of what you start everybody at. Whereas with vitamins, they're still kind of figuring out a lot of these things. There's not some big company that has, a vested interest in telling you need to have this dose. It's more so like people anecdotally for a long time, and there's probably been some studies, right, on what exactly how much you should give of certain things, but there's some clinics that do, 2 or 3 times less or 2 or 3 times more of the vitamins that a given place might do.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was reading the other day, and they were talking about how getting your vitamins the way you're doing it intravenous is much better, and then taking vitamin C gummies and this and that, because of the concentration in those things. You have to take so many of them to even come close to equaling what you're getting with the IV.
There's a couple things going on there. You've got this term called bioavailability, where if you take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, your body's only going to actually, if you take it orally, your body's only actually going to, consume and put to use maybe 30 to 50% of that. Whereas if you're doing it in the IV, you're getting pretty much 100% of it, maybe 99. And you're getting it also straight from these pharmacy and hospital grade producers. Whereas with vitamins and supplements, there's so much variability and not a lot of regulation in the industry. So like, let's say you take a 5 milligram melatonin gummy, there might actually be anywhere from 3 to 10 milligrams in there.
Gotcha.
You're not really sure based on who's manufacturing it, where they're getting it from. If it's from the dollar store, it probably doesn't have nearly as much.
Right.
Whereas all this stuff is hospital grade. You know exactly what you're getting.
Gotcha. And I would imagine too, when you're taking stuff orally, you've got to go through some of that digestive system to get into your bloodstream, whereas you're putting it directly in where it needs to go.
Yeah, that's that 30%, bioavailable, 30 to 50%. Right. That's assuming someone's pretty healthy, but a lot of times, people have GI conditions, whether it's diverticulitis or IBS nowadays. There's a lot of things that can make that number even less than it probably is. Or if you're just not feeling well and you can't keep anything down, then there's only one way to get the stuff you need in your body, through the veins.
Now, Chris, what are you doing there where you're pumping the IV?
We are pumping up the pressure bag here, so it's going to make it go in a little bit faster. A typical IV is going to go in about 20 to 40 minutes, but this can kind of help it go in a little bit faster. And for most people, I'd say 99% it's safe. There's a couple health conditions that you may not want to have it go in quite as fast. If you've got heart failure, there's a couple other things, but most people, time is money, as they're trying to get in and out here and start feeling better sooner. So this can kind of help do that.
Oh,
see, now we're really flowing in here instead of just dripping.
Yeah.
It's a good shot. You got the beach. All right. Very good. All right.
Is this the B12?
This is the B complex. This is what makes it all yellow, though.
Right.
It's going to probably make your pee yellow later today. It doesn't necessarily mean you're dehydrated. It's just got a little bit of tint to it.
Means you had too much Mountain Dew, Joseph.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a.
Here, we'll do this one as well. The B12 going in there because it's all red.
You're gonna have a kaleidoscope of colors going into you today, Joseph.
No food dyes, no additives.
Right.
Just the good stuff. Here's the zinc. No color on that one.
Yeah. Great. Well, that was very informative. Chris, thanks for having us today. We really appreciate it. If you're looking for Chris, tell him how to get a hold of you, and I'll have all of Chris's information on Duuuval drips.
Yeah, so it's Duuuval drips. There's 3 U's in the Duuuval. That's the biggest thing. You can check us out online. We've got a website, duuvaldrips.com. Social media, you got Instagram, Facebook, whatever you need. Or you can just text us, my number directly, 904-300-0882. Just text DRIP, and we'll get things going for you.
Right. So if you're feeling down, or if you've had a little bit too much to drink, or cold's coming around, give Chris a call. Come see him here in Jacks Beach, or he'll come to you. Either way works. So we'll see you the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Good deal.